Ken, right here in this article that is dated December the 12th, December 27, 2012, that was day after the break-in. The break-in was on December
26th, I think.
the 25th.
Oh, 25th, yeah.
Right, the 26th when they found it.
Right.
They're saying that now our vision has completely been realized. It says that one of our former workers who has been helped shut down the clinic, Elizabeth Manners, who I've been told you about a worker working in Muskegon. Michigan, she has been working with our city officials in Muskegon and our attorneys for several weeks, working with them before the break-in.
So what are you saying? What is that saying to you?
That is saying to me that she's been working with city officials prior to the break-in. The break-in was December 25th, which is Jesus' birthday. And they're saying here that our complete vision has finally been revealed.
So are you suggesting, do you believe that somebody from that group broke into your clinic to get the cops there?
Well, what is this?
No, I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'm not thinking that. I'm just reading what it says here.
But do you believe that? I mean, do you believe that's what happened?
Well, the thing about this here, I have to believe what it says. It says that we have told you about a worker will be happening in Muskegon, Elizabeth Manners. She has been working with our city officials now and attorneys for several weeks. Here it is right here. You can print it. You have it right here. Okay? There we go.
Okay.
And also is this here. And our proposal, it says here. In the administrative law judge, it says that one of the crucial facts is that Elizabeth Manners, to whom I entrusted the cleaning of the clinic, was also on my payroll through pro-life. This group is focused on closing all abortion clinics in the state of Michigan and also throughout. The public group admitted in the article on their website that it paid bank staff for Elizabeth Manners. They also admitted to working with police and city officials in Muskegon.
So you're saying there was some conspiracy?
Well, no.
No, I mean, can I ask you directly? Do you think there was a conspiracy to close you down?
No. What it says, what does it say here? Read it.
No, I'm not going to read it. You're the doctor.
But Ken, think about this. You read it. You read it very clearly.
Okay.
What it says here. May I see it?
I don't know what I'd have to obviously confirm the source of all this stuff.
Okay.
I mean,
this right here is Life News from Abby Johnson. It says right here. She has been working with our city officials for several weeks and attorneys from Muskegon and also their attorneys.
so what you're saying is that there was somebody on your payroll that was working behind your back to get you closed down.
They're saying this here.
No, can I ask you that question? Is that what you're saying?
That's what they're saying. That's what they're implying right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you think you should have been shut down?
Well, the thing about this is that the clinic was shut down because what happened is that in October 2012, I went to work for the health department in Detroit. And at that time, I closed the clinic completely when I went to work for the health department from December, November, October.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
But you were coming back for weekends, from what I understand, doing
Well,
some procedures on weekends?
Just coming back to make sure everything was being taken care of and closed down.
Okay, but you were not doing procedures?
I was not doing procedures, no.
That mess that we've seen on the pictures, you've seen those pictures.
I
Of
see
what it
those
looked like.
pictures. Right. I was paying Elizabeth Manners and her husband to get ready for Stericycle. And Stericycle should have been coming in and cleaning it out. I wasn't there at all. I was in Detroit over.
So that was not like that when patients were in those rooms?
Patients, there was no patients coming in.
No, but
I wasn't there.
when you had patients before it closed down, was that office like that?
No.
It was clean?
And Ken, the thing about this here is that if it wasn't, you have had complaints.
But can I say, we talked to somebody who was at your clinic in Ann Arbor, who was in the office next door, who said the clinic you had in Ann Arbor was also like that.
Okay, clinic.
Well, let me,
Right here. I have an affidavit here.
no,
Is that-
no, this is this is the clinic you had in Ann Arbor.
No, right here. Look, is that an affidavit from Gwendolyn Jenkins,
Okay.
a former employee at my other clinic in Ann Arbor, was presented at the hearing. She testified to the cleanliness and the ordinance of that clinic.
Okay.
It says it right here, doesn't it?
Okay.
Doesn't it?
It says that right there.
Does
Who
it?
wrote that?
It says,
Is that written by you?
it says an
Okay,
affidavit
okay,
from
okay,
Gwendolyn
okay.
Jenkins,
Yeah.
an employee.
Okay. We also interviewed some former patients of yours who talked about botched abortions, mistakes that they say were made.
Okay, what is this? Botched abortions are not really what they call botched abortions. It's what abortions happens when patients have to come back because of high bleeding and so forth, and everything of this nature. You tell them, if there are any questions, any consideration, come back. And I will make sure everything is taken care of. Botched abortions is when abortions are done wrong. Every patient is handled with care. Every patient is handled with delicate gloves. I don't do abortions anymore. I haven't done it for 4 years. I'm board certified.
4 years. No,
4 years.
Well, it's 2014, so you haven't
Right.
done it for 2 years.
I haven't done it for 2 years. What it is, I do consultations and so forth.
But you did
they-
abortions at that clinic just before it closed down, though, right?
Just before it closed down.
So
but-
it's been 2 years since you.
But the thing about this is, looking back to reference that for 4 years of saying to me is that I'm looking at the overall history of abortions and so forth. But the thing of this is that I came back one time, do one abortion in the clinic in December of 2012, and that is it. And I did that, you're right, in 2 years. I apologize. But the thing about this, Ken, is that the main thing is this, is that this letter right here, if you would show it,
This letter, can I have that copy?
sure you can.
Okay.
You have this copy.
And a copy
also,
of this, right?
right here. It says it right here. It says right here. Now our complete vision has been found and revealed. We have been working with other workers, Muskegon. She has been working with our city officials in Muskegon and attorneys for several weeks. We've just been told that the facility has been boarded down. That was on the 25th. This 27th. That's where the state had an opportunity to investigate it.
No, you've lost your license. Your license was suspended for 6 months and a day
6 months
and a
day.
$75,000 fine. Are you? What are your thoughts on that?
It's horrible. It's horrible. But the thing about this is that I feel right now that this right here is going to come out and going to prove that the Right to Life did in fact worked with my staff and the city officials of Muskegon to close the clinic. It says it right there, doesn't it?
That's what it would appear to say. But
Thank you.
let me ask you some more questions. Are you going to try to get your license back?
No.
You're
No.
done being a doctor?
Yes. Yes. Why should I? There are other things to do in life. I've gone on. And I feel right now that the Lord is blessing with a lot of things can. And I feel like right at this point that these things that has happened, my life is going in another direction.
In what direction is that?
I don't know at this point. I got to pray and ask the Lord for directions. But you know, my wife has passed.
When did that happen?
Well, there's been so much harassment from the Right to Life people, so much phone calls, so many knocking at the doors, so much harassing her when she goes out into the market and so forth, shoving and pushing and so forth. She couldn't take it. So essentially, she died.
When did she die?
September 15th
I'm sorry.
of this year.
I'm sorry.
But she couldn't take that.
Because she was like a nurse herself, right? Or she was
a
in the
nurse.
medical, yeah,
A
profession.
nurse.
Yeah.
But yet, with all this harassment going on, they couldn't take that. But the thing about this is that this article, if you can see it right here,
Let me ask you this question again.
Sure,
though.
sure.
Is this more about abortion, or is this more about you being a bad doctor?
neither one of them. I'm board certified, Ken. I am board certified. I be certified every year.
But are you a bad doctor?
I'm a good doctor. I'm a very good doctor. I take care of my patients. And the thing is sometimes you have bad outcomes, what I take care of. But everything is good. Okay.
There was a woman we interviewed who now has a 4-year-old son who was told that she had had an abortion by you, and her son is now 4 years old, and she thought she had had an abortion until then she found out several months later she was actually still pregnant. Do you know the case I'm talking about? We showed her on TV.
That case, it has something to do with HIPAA. I cannot comment on that because that was a patient, had a lot of drugs involved in her system. Well, I cannot talk about that, about a HIPAA. And there is a lot of things that I could get myself into trouble talking about that particular case.
But you know who the case I'm talking about,
but it's
right?
not-
You've seen that on TV, you saw.
But it's not accurate. It's not accurate at all. Okay?
What she says is not accurate?
It's not accurate
Do you
at
have
all.
any questions, Paul? What's
Yeah,
your...
what about the lady whose cervix was cut and severed? They found a piece of her cervix in her uterus.
And there's also talk about a baby that was partially aborted and the head was left inside.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
Okay. What about the cervix that was cut? Do you remember that case?
I'm not familiar with that at all.
Well, the hospital told us, the doctor from the hospital had told us that she was your patient, and that she went to the hospital with severe bleeding, and that she had part of her cervix severed.
I'm
That's
not
why-
familiar with that at all.
Okay. Also, Dr. Shade We did, obviously, one of the stories we did is how Dr. Shade helped you keep your license by not,
Ken,
let me ask this question.
Ken, no, let me answer this question is that this article.
No, I know, we've gone
I know
over that,
this
but let me ask
article
about Dr.
proves-
Shade. He was your mentor.
Well, the thing about this is, I gotta go see some patients right now. I gotta go and take care
Wait,
of
how
them.
can you see patients? You don't have a license.
Yes, I do.
It was suspended.
The license order was suspended, but at this particular time, the revocation or suspension has got to be in effect. It has not been ordered. Okay? All right. Have a nice
Okay,
day.
so what kind of practice are you doing now?
Very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
but you're not doing any abortions anymore?
No, I haven't done abortion in 2 years.
But let me ask you about Dr. Shade. I mean,
I don't know
there
anything
were
about Dr. Shade.
Well, there were complaints filed against you, and then Dr. Shade is the one who said they don't need to be investigated. Do you remember that?
I don't know anything about that.
Do you know Dr. Shade?
I've heard of him.
Well, he was your mentor who you worked under to get your license back after you got out of prison.
But Ken, let me go. Okay? Out of respect, let me go, please. Okay?
Okay, all right.
Thank you. But Ken, please show this article right here on TV, the one that we just read about. They're saying that the vision has finally been revealed. That my staff.
Of course, I'm going to ask
the
Right to
business
Life
manager-
about this also, because
Right.
they're right there.
Right, and it's right here.
What would you say to Right to Life? I mean, they're right there.
What is it?
What would you say to Right to Life? I mean, they're right there.
Nothing I can say is right to life at all.
I mean, they're
good-
right there.
They're good people.
Thank you.
They're good people. They always have been good people.
Except for
Okay.
you're saying that they were, you sound like you're suggesting someone from Right to Life maybe did the break-in at your place to call attention to it.
No, I'm just saying I've read the letter.
Okay.
And have you all read the letter at all?
I know that Operation Rescue filed a complaint with the state of Michigan in August of 2012, and that's why there was investigations going on.
Okay, look for
That's why
this,
they
yeah.
contacted.
I'll show that. Okay, go ahead.
Have you read this letter right here? Have you read that letter? It says that the vision has finally been realized.
So it basically, it sounds like what he's saying is Right to Life had someone planted in his office to work against him to get him shut down.
That's emphatically not true.
That's what?
Emphatically not true.
She'd worked there for a long time.
what is the
She
article saying right
contacted,
here?
she contacted Abby Johnson saying, I need help getting out. Abby Johnson contacted Operation Rescue. We've got somebody, she gave Operation Rescue the information to write a complaint, to write a
So it
formal
wasn't like she was
complaint.
planted there, is what she
No.
did. She worked there and filed a complaint.
Yes, and,
So
have-
you're talking Elizabeth Manures,
Well,
who
there were-
we've talked to.
What about this? She said she's been working with city officials and our attorneys.
because there was an official complaint filed and accepted with the state of Michigan, the Board of Healthcare Services, and that's why they were investigating.
So in other words, the city officials and attorneys, the same one who came in and investigated my place, cleaned it, and also who investigated it, made the complaint, are the same one who inspected it, are the same one who worked with her and said that it was, in other words, 2 or 3 weeks before they inspected my clinic, they worked with her. And then they
So
came
what
in.
I think what you're
She was
suggesting
giving
is,
them evidence.
is the woman who was complaining against you was the one who was supposed to have cleaned that place. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
what I'm saying is that this right here on December 27th,
Yeah.
okay? They're saying that the city of Muskegon officials for several weeks worked with her before the clinic was broken into. And then they came in, broken into on the 26th, and they found all these things that was wrong after they had worked with her.
Yeah.
How can they do that? How can the same people who come in and investigate say it's wrong?
Okay.
I don't understand
Can I
that.
remind you that it was the fire marshal that shut the building down? It had nothing to do with the Board of Medicine or the state investigators. The fire marshal shut
No,
the
no, no,
building
no,
down.
no, no, no. At the hearing, all these people who came in and worked with Elizabeth Manners are the same one who testified to the fact of the clinic. They're the same ones.
Are you suggesting that they had something to do with the conditions of your clinic?
All I'm saying is that several weeks before the closing of the clinic, they worked with her. Is that what it says, Ken?
Does that have anything to do with the
Yeah.
conditions of your clinic?
Ken, is that what it says?
That's what it appears to say, but I think you can
Thank you.
probably read it. I mean,
Exactly. Good, let me go.
all right.
Okay.
Where's your office now, Dr. Alexander?
If I tell you where the office is right now, you would go there like you did with the health department,
Well,
and you would
you know
threaten
what?
them.
You're
and you'd
also
protest.
saying that these people